what is called a sensu, a fan that is especially made for this type of ceremony. It serves as a barrier, a respectful barrier between yourself and other guests. And you pay respect to the most revered part of the room, which is the tokonoma, the indented alcove, by looking at the scroll. And the scroll is mounted in a specific way, and you appreciate different kireji, or the fabrics that have been used, and also then to the flowers that have been picked especially for today's occasion. And a slight bow. And in our school of tea, when we leave a room or space, we cross over the lines, the dark lines, with our left foot. And then when we enter, we use the right foot. So every half mat is actually a measurement of 2 steps you can take and sit. So he's looking at the actual host's area, which has the cold water and the hot water in this case. And I would like to introduce our second guest, Miss Yuki. I'm sorry, your last name was Ishii. Ishii. Miss Yuki Ishii. And she will also do the same. And just imagine yourself in a Japanese garden setting, which this is more or less, and imagine yourself leaving all of your cares and your whatever deadlines you may have. Just leave that all outside this door and just enter with a pure heart and mind, and that's part of the scroll today. Sei is represented, and you are just forgetting everything else. Enjoy this moment. And I don't know if you can get the whiff of the incense a little bit. That is the signal that we welcome our guests and that the tea room is ready for guests to arrive. We are kind of doing this on an impromptu basis, so we apologize if we have a little lull in things. The 2 guests that you see here, I had asked them to please just help us make tea, but they were dressed so beautifully, I wanted to have them be guests as well. So, and everything begins and ends with a bow. The assistant host, Miss Yuko Wang, has offered the sweets to our main guest. And with a silent bow, please have the sweets. But they will wait until the host gives the actual signal to please have them, or to partake of their sweets. So in tea, we are asked to do things rather impromptu sometimes, and we need to be ready for every occasion. Our host is Wayu Kennedy. He is also an ordained minister of the Zen temple Yokot in Idlewild. And all 3 on our tatami today are students of Nana Soyu Yamashita of the Zen Shuchi Sadobu, or the tea classes there. So anyone who is in that area, please visit them on Saturday afternoons. I believe they have tea, and they are also online at zenshuji.org, so if you need to check that out. Yes.
Where are they located?
On Hewitt Street, off of Alameda. Do you know where Alameda is and First Street? They're just east of downtown. Yes.
Oh.
And we also have classes here that are beginning in January, and I can tell you about that later as well. So please observe each of the movements that our host is going to make. I'm not going to say too much at this point because I wanted you to kind of look at the details. If you have questions later, please let me know. Just please notice that he is cleansing everything that he needs to use in order to serve our guests, as well as himself and the utensils at the same time. Our assistant host has come in to say, please make yourself comfortable to our guests. And Wayu-sensei is handling what is called a fukusa, or special silk napkin, that has been created for this particular type of ceremony. A little slippery, so. And you are getting the host side view today. Normally, you would be seeing the other side. That this is a reverse stage situation. The tea needs to have a specific amount of hot water to make a perfect bowl of tea. So first of all, he needs to warm the bowl. So he has placed some hot water and is using a brand new chasen, or tea whisk, which is made of one piece of bamboo. And he will soften the tines of the bamboo whisk as well as warm the bowl at the same time. Since it is a larger room that we are using, it's 8 mats, we are having our host assisted by our assistant host, or hanto, so our guests do not need to move too far. In fact, they don't need to move at all to receive their sweets and their tea. Again, the bow. And our first guest has said osakini, which is, please, thank you for letting me go before you. So, very respectful. And to our host, watemae chodai itashimasu, which is, I will partake of your tea that you have made by your hand. And the tea is whisked to a very fine froth, much like a cappuccino. Green cappuccino, actually. After 10 o'clock, it's a latte, I guess. But each of the details and the cleaning of the tea room, everything is being appreciated in that one bowl of tea by the guest. And so the other theme always is the thought of appreciation for each other. Without guests, we cannot be a host, and without a host, we cannot be a guest. So the other part of the wake seijaku is, the wa portion is harmony and creating that amongst ourselves. And those who have been to Japan or know Japanese people, you know that everything is done with a bow instead of a handshake. So again, that's another form of respect. You just bow very deeply to each other, and that conveys your sincere heart. And if you'll notice the way that our host is handling the hishaku, or the water ladle, it is actually it does come from the ancient martial art of the Zen archery. So what he just did right now is placing, very much like placing the arrow on the bow. And then when he makes tea, you'll notice the next move would be this, which is letting go of the arrow. So many of the meditative type of things are included in the movements. And you will notice that our host does 2/4 turns of the bowl. The front is actually facing him as he makes the tea. When he presents the tea to the guest, or in this case, the assistant, the front will be facing them if you do the 2/4 turns. So knowing that there's a front and a back to something, you're showing respect to whomever you are giving something to by turning it so the front faces them. So again, 2/4 turns, offering the tea. Now the second guest is excusing herself to the first guest. I will now humbly join you for tea. And again, to the host, thank you very much for this. Quite a lovely looking bowl of tea, actually. It's very good. She said that it was very good. So when you drink it, when you're offered your bowl of tea, please do raise it in appreciation first, or say, if the occasion is correct, please excuse me for going before you to the next guest, or please let me join you to the other guest. And turn the bowl twice. Show respect for the person who made it for you. And so a single bowl of tea in a formal gathering, we're showing you kind of the last portion of a formal gathering of tea. And this is uscha, or the thin tea. And each bowl is individually made for each guest. Our first guest has bid the host to please close. And our host is obliging by saying, "Oshimai itashimasu," I will close. So this is the final portion of the actual tea, where the first portion was to cleanse everything in preparation for making tea. The second portion, of course, is to make and drink the tea. And the last portion is to put everything back in its place again, so we may be ready for another set of guests, perhaps. So the cold water replenishes the hot. Our first guest has asked you, may I please see the two items, the following items, which are the natsume, the tea container or tea caddy, and the chashaku, which is the tea scoop. There is an old Zen saying, I believe, called ichigo ichie, meaning one time, one meeting. You may have encountered that. It's been used quite often for tea because we may never see the same set of utensils like this before, and certainly we will not see the same people or enjoy each other's company in the same atmosphere. So let us treasure what we have at the moment and enjoy each other's company. And in that light, our host is preparing the natsume, or the tea, jujube tea container. It kind of looks like a jujube. So our guests may have a closer inspection of the two items. So again, the front will be facing the guests for them to view, and everything is placed front toward our guests. So what our guests are looking at will be the shape of the mountain or what has been carved out to serve the tea, and kind of looking at it, imagining a little mountain in the distance and the greenery. And then the chashaku is a single piece of bamboo in this case, carved by, I believe it's Rin-chiku Osho, a former abbot of one of the temples in Japan, I believe in Kyoto. So everything is pretty much handmade. Nothing is really, everything is basically very carefully made by hand. So again, the turning of the natsume and the chashaku signifies that they are done with their inspection, and our assistant will retrieve them to present them to the host.
What is the shape of this teakote? 夏目の形は
It's a kitty, that's made it as a medium-sized natsume with kitty designs.
Who that name?
Sutetsu.
So that's. May I ask who made this chashaku?
Rin Jitsu.
Is there any name for this chashaku?
Hura, which is one of the eastern legendary mountains in China.
Very nice. Thank you very much.
So the host has answered the two items' provenance, basically, where it was made. The natsume is, we are practicing the Jushoku of the Sen lineage, meaning the 10 craft families. So one of them makes lacquerware, and they are called Nakamura Sotetsu. So that is the maker of the natsume. And the design on it is Kiku Kiri. Kiku is chrysanthemum, and Kiri is Polonia. So that is on there, and we can certainly show that to you later. And then the chashaku name was Dozo. Hodai, which is a poetic name that was given to the chashaku. Dozo, please, both of you, come on out so we can give our greetings. Sense いらないですよ、いいですか? That concludes the presentation. どうもありがとうございました. And thank you for your attention. We would now love to serve you tea. So those who would like to be on the mat, we can probably fit about maybe